All right, folks, we are live here on the Loco Pigskin Live. I'm Justin Jarrett, joined right now by Dylan Price and Misa Garzone. But we'll see who shows up tonight. We got some invites out to some very special guests who we're expecting to hear from, and we'll see who all pops in to talk football tonight. Just two games to talk about, so we'll go into some depth. Wes will be joining us in a little bit. He was at the Buford Academy Colleton Prep game. Colleton Prep wins it 23-20. They will go on to the Skeeza 2A state championship game. Incredible story. I mean, they avenged their only loss of the season, and now they're going on to the state championship game after some pretty lean years there the last couple of years. We were talking before the show, Dylan, about the past couple of years. Just 2 years ago they were out of the playoffs, and now they're playing for a state championship. So great story there with Greg Langdale and that team. And then the game I was at, and you guys watched on Buford's Own, which is awesome, by the way, that we can watch this game on Buford's Own. Shout out to Javon Livingston for what he's doing over there. Buford comes back and wins. Hey, Wes, your audio is a little hot on your end. There we go. We're playing sound engineer in real time too. Good stuff. Wes, welcome in, man. We were telling people that Colleton Prep got the win, and Buford comes back after trailing 28-10 and comes back to win 45-42. Incredible night on Lady Island.
Yeah. I mean, we just had two games, but both of them were incredible. I mean, I'm just so impressed by that Colleton Prep team. Really, I mean, they have been the story of Class 2A football this year. I mean, not much was expected from them when they lost to a lot of talent, including Drew Murdahl. But, I mean, Cole Davis showing why he has been an absolute superstar this year, willing his team in that second half. And they really took control of the clock and tied game at 20-20 and absolutely shut the BA Eagles down in the second half. That defensive line was terrific, and everybody played a part in helping Colleton Prep pull out the win on the road. Man, just a terrific effort by that defense. Big forced turnover late in the third quarter to strip the ball away from Braden Dean. I think really that really turned the tide in this ball game. And Colleton Prep was really able to control the clock, run the football with Cole Davis and Caleb Davis, and you're able to get a key field goal early on that half, and then really just find a way to grind it out the rest of the way. BA, though, they had a chance late in the ball game to come back, ended up driving it inside the 25 of Colleton Prep, but field goal missed at the buzzer by Zeke Gonzalez, but just ran out of time there. They're putting together a good drive and just didn't have enough time to continue it and had to go for the field goal. But what an effort by Colleton Prep on the road after falling that 2019 heartbreaker in regular season. They get it done to advance to the state championship. What a year it has been for Colleton Prep, and just a really tough one for Braden Dean and the BBA Eagles, who have been a terrific team this year. Battling along, they made it tough for Colleton Prep. And, man, just a really well-played football game on both sides. And you mentioned Misa. I mean, I was surprised at the 2020 score because Cole Davis was slinging it through the air, 3 touchdown passes in that first half. Kind of got a little more defensive when Colleton Prep was really trying to grind out in that second half. But, man, it was back and forth, punch for punch in that first half of football. Just really exciting. And the star players showed up really on both sides. It was more offense in the first half, but the defense really took over alongside that run game of Cole Davis. But, man, just the grit and the effort for Colleton Prep to go on the road, a place where you lost in that heartbreaker, to come back and just pull out another thriller. And just so proud of Greg Langdale and what he has done, and those seniors who have put in the work since day one of the freshman to get to this point, and now they're heading to the state championship game.
Yeah, big time effort. You guys talk about that one a little bit. I'm going to dip out and edit some highlights together so we can show you some highlights later in the game. But I know you guys can break that game down, and then I'll pop in and talk more about the Buford game as well, which Misa and Dylan can also weigh in on. Terrific effort from Buford coming back at the second half. Crestwood came out and really popped them in the mouth. The first couple of drives were really impressive, and Buford was kind of out of sorts and spinning a little bit, but got things going in the second half. I can't wait. We're going to try to get Coach Librand on here in a little bit and hear about what he said at halftime, or what somebody said at halftime, because they flipped the switch in the second half. You definitely saw the dog come out, and Casey Fields and Colton Ferries, they were not ready to wrap up their careers yet, and just a terrific effort. And it was, I don't know if you picked up on the broadcast, but it was dead in the first half. Like they took the wind out of the sails. The crowd was lifeless. Even the DJ couldn't get them up, Misa. I mean, they were just lifeless. And then all of a sudden in the second half, things started going, and the crowd got into it, and then it was just bang, bang, bang. It was a touchdown, a pick, another touchdown, and it was hype all of a sudden. And it felt like Ladies Island on a Friday night again. But did you guys pick up on that on the broadcast? Was it pretty clear?
Yeah, a little bit, especially when Crestwood was running a lot of tempo. You could tell even the players are a little bit lackadaisical, and then the crowd was too. But they turned it around and did what we expected them to do, and just kept fighting.
Yeah, when Crest went up 28-10, you could have probably heard a pin drop on the broadcast. And even like you said, the best Friday night DJ in any football stadium in the Low Country, I'm calling it here now. Just calling it, hashtag it, give me a shirt. He wins it hands down. It wasn't working. And then when Buford started scoring, and it was just I think it was 28 unanswered points after they were down 28-10 before Crestwood could finally respond. And it was after that, the crowd was pretty into the game. It was a back and forth game. It was a fun game to watch. Shout outs to Buford's own for the excellent broadcast, the quality, the announcing, everything. It's a one-man job. And he's doing a phenomenal job. So, Dylan and I could watch from the comfort of our homes. We could watch and enjoy the game as well. But I do want to say something with Wes while Justin gets off screen and does his magic behind the scenes. What was the first half like? Because last week we talked about this is going to be a defensive battle, and we joked about it a little bit, saying it's going to be an 8-6 game. It's going to be a very defensive. And next, I'm following the game on Twitter, and all I see Wes is saying bomb, 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 bomb. And I'm like, what is going on? Did he go to the wrong game? Like, please talk to us. We expected something different, and we got an offensive shutdown in the first half. What was the difference between this game and the last game?
Well, it started out as you would expect. Buford Academy was grinding it out in the field and using that strong run game of Jackson Porter and Devontae Green. And that opening drive took 8 minutes that Buford Academy scored on 15 plays, 85 yards. So kind of the script that we thought would happen is that Buford Academy would use that strong ground attack and grind it out and produce those long drives that take a lot of time off the clock. But then things started to change on that next possession. Cole Davis in a third and long situation, he finds Walker Bryan for a long touchdown pass, and that kind of really opened it up in terms of the scoring. Kind of similarities in soccer. Sometimes you play it close in a 0-0 game, and once you get all the scoring, it kind of opens up. It's kind of the same thing. Football is a little different sport, but in a way, Cole Davis being able to find that stroke through the air, I think really sparked this Carleton Prep offense and the ability to have that strong passing game and still get it done with Davis's legs on the ground. But yeah, back and forth affair. Buford Academy scoring once again a Devontae Green run, but Cole Davis with 2 touchdown passes to Eli Rowe and Walker Bryan. We've been talking a lot about Keaton Crosby, about he's been that go-to target, but really it was Bryan and Rowe and some others who end up being go-to playmakers through the air. And BA was having trouble with assignments defensively. They were leaving receivers wide open, and they corrected that in the second half. And I think that was a big part of it. BA's defense, although they ended up losing the game, it was very strong. A couple of really great standouts defensively for BA. Kevin Peoples, who we haven't talked about much at all this season, was spectacular in coverage, made a few pass breakups. Zeke Gonzalez was excellent as well. So BA's pass defense definitely improved, which I think kind of led to the tighter second half, because it looked like Carleton Prep was getting good matchups out wide and was able to take advantage of maybe some plays that BA wishes they wouldn't have given up on some long, deep passes. And credit to Cole Davis taking advantage of seeing those matchups, reading the field, and making some strong throws. But yeah, Carleton Prep really, with those long passing plays, provided that spark and really kind of put the wheels in motion in terms of more of an offensive showcase in that first half. BA ended up tying it on a Devontae Green run, and then Braden and Ian getting going at quarterback. He finds a wide open Jackson Porter, but then Carleton Prep responds right at the end of the half on a Cole Davis pass to Walker Bryan. So that was 3 touchdown passes for Davis, who we've talked about more of a runner, but man, he was unbelievable throwing the football. And aside from that one pass, which would have sealed the game late in the contest, where they tried to put out the knockout punch, and Davis just missed his receiver there. BA was able to get it back down 3 and nearly end up getting a time field goal. But other than that one missed throw, I mean, it's really hard to see any weaknesses or any flaws in that game from Cole Davis. He was absolutely sensational, and his ability to really have that strong passing attack combined with just his will on the ground to just follow his blockers in the offensive line. We got to talk about them too because they were outstanding, especially in that second half, being able to grind the ball down the field with that blocking. But man, when you look at the guy who really took over the game, I think it starts with Cole Davis, but then you got to give credit to the defense and two really strong defensive stars that I want to give credit to for college and prep. And there's so many others, but Raleigh Openaus was outstanding on that line, swallowing up ball carriers, especially late in that game. Really controlled that part of the line of scrimmage, won some battles one-on-one, and got into the backfield. And then Gus Warren with that big forced fumble, which was a turning point in that game. Because Beaufort Academy, they were able to run the football and were able to really set the tone offensively, but they kind of lost some confidence after turning the football over and just wasn't able to recover from that. So Gus Warren with a big play, and that entire defensive line deserves a ton of credit for what they were going to do. Absolutely just flying in the last 12 minutes in that fourth quarter. I mean, they were just all over that line of scrimmage and wrecking havoc in that BA run game, which has been so dominant this year. So, I mean, you got to give a lot of credit to that Carleton Prep defense for sealing it. But man, I mean, what a tremendous job! What a tremendous job by Carleton Prep. And just, I mean, a phenomenal season. I mean, considering where they were last year to where they are now. Give Greg Ritling all the credit, give Cole Davis all the credit, and give those seniors a ton of praise for what they've been able to do to elevate that entire squad and provide that excellent leadership to propel this team to unprecedented heights.
Yeah, I think we guessed it almost perfectly right on Tuesday in the podcast. We said, the turnover battle is big. I predicted whoever wins the turnover battle, it's probably going to come on top of this game. And it seemed to be the case like that with Carleton Prep, forcing the only true turnover on downs. So, I mean, this team has showed so much resiliency. The last 2 years when Cole Davis was a sophomore, they didn't even make the playoffs. They finished last in the region. And then last year, they lost in the first round of the playoffs. So just from those 2 seasons, taking it all and just making it to the state championship, you can't really say enough about these guys. I mean, I can name out a list of guys who I've known have got better and I've seen has got better. Hayden Williams, Cole Davis, Caleb Davis, Eli Rowe, Gus Warren, Noah Catterton, all of those guys, they've been there for a long time. They've been in this program. They've been the core guys besides Drew Murdahl. And, losing him was, a really big piece because he kind of, carried everything on offense and defense. But tonight, I think you found the missing link that's always been there for Carleton Prep, and that's a true form of a passer from Cole Davis. And it's awesome to see. As much, as I'm a big rivalry against them being a DA guy, it's awesome to see those guys just have no surrender. And I think that's their motto. They say no surrender. So it's awesome to see that. I wish them nothing but the best. They have a tough matchup in the state championship against Williamsburg. But if there's one team I could think of that can put it to Williamsburg, I think these guys are it. And I'm excited to see what they have in store.
Yeah, I think Williamsburg will be the favorite next week at Charleston Southern, but I cannot doubt the ability of this Carleton Prep defense, especially, and this entire team, to play that physical, hard-nosed game that we've seen in the playoffs, especially in that second half where they shut a really strong offense down. And then if you can have that production and those accurate throws that we saw from Cole Davis and his ability to be multifaceted, dynamic like he was tonight, I mean, there's no reason that they can't go toe-to-toe with this Williamsburg team. I mean, certainly the Stallions have a lot of really potent weapons, but Carleton Prep showed that if they can play strong on the line and really establish a line of scrimmage on both sides, and that defense was just swarming, and if they can play at that level, they're going to make it tough for Williamsburg to move the ball. I do like the Stallions, but once again, the grit on this effort of this Colleton prep team is going to be tough for anyone to match up with. So I'm really excited, and it's kind of like, I mean, you got nothing to lose. Williamsburg's going to be the heavy favorites. They have all the pressure. I mean, they had that loss last year, and they have been the team to beat. So the pressure's on Williamsburg. I think that you're playing with nothing to lose if you're Colleton prep with a chance to steal a state championship. So I love that they're going to have that kind of mentality of they'll be the underdog and kind of feed off that underdog, because they were the underdog in this game, in my opinion. Beaufort Academy being the home team, being a team that beat them the first time this season. And I thought they were the clear favorite, and Colleton Prep really embraced the underdog mentality. It can be the same thing, albeit a tougher team, but that same situation where they're going to be the team kind of slept on, and they're going to use that hunger and that tenacity, especially on defense, to look to make that statement. And if Colleton Prep, you can get that lead and grind the ball down. I mean, they've done a great job of that, but with the passing attack of Cole Davis, and if he can show what he did tonight, it's going to be a tough team to match up with in Colleton Prep. So I'm really excited for the Warhawks. That's going to be a great game. So we have our 2A final set. Our 1A final is not set yet, because Thomas Hayward will play tomorrow night against Calhoun Academy, and we'll recap that one tomorrow. But yeah, I mean,
we got a special guest waiting, Wes.
Okay,
we got a special guest in the green room. Let's get him in here so we don't make him wait any longer. Special guest in the green room. Sorry to break in, but Bryce Libren's waiting. So let's bring him in. Mr. Bryce Libren, let me get you in the big square here so we can.
You don't want to do that. You want me to be on the small square.
We appreciate you, man. Heck of an effort from your team in the second half tonight to come back after, quite frankly, Crestwood came out and punched you guys in the mouth. I mean, it looked like they hit you with some tempo that kind of took you back a little bit on defense. You're a little out of sorts the first couple series. I want to know what was said at halftime, because whatever it was, man, bottle that stuff up and put it on the shelves, because it worked.
It wasn't really anything said at halftime. We were down 12. So, we kind of told them, hey, just go out and get a stop, go out and get a score and then get a stop. And we didn't do that. We went out and, gave up we go out and get stopped, and then we give up a score. So we did the complete opposite of what we asked them to do. But these kids don't really panic. We just couldn't get anything going offensively, and defensively, they had schemed some stuff. That quarterback he's the best one we've faced this year. He's legit. That guy. I was talking with their offense coordinator after the game. He said that kid doesn't have any offers. So that shows you how stupid college coaches are. Because I don't know, if there's a bunch better than that one, then I want to see them. Or actually, I don't want to see them.
Right.
So
he didn't make a bad decision, really. Gosh.
Yeah, they threw it and hit some big plays, and our kids finally settled down. We were able to get a couple stops, and we get a turnover there, and went to our two-back offense, which we hadn't done any this year. So we knew that was something that they were going to have to try to adjust to on the fly, and that's hard to do. So just really proud of the kids, really proud of the coaches for making adjustments to give us a chance to win the game. And at this point, it's not always going to be pretty, so we'll just take a win.
You kind of had shades of your first season at the helm back when you put Colton in to run some option for a couple plays, because Samari was limping off, and he called his own number a couple times and made some magic happen.
Yeah, we've been working stuff, and we just hadn't had to use it, and so the two-back stuff, that's what we ran with Daniel my first year when Tyler got hurt, and then and then the Wildcat stuff, we just with Colton at quarterback, we hadn't had to have it, and so we just kind of been holding it. I mean, that two-back stuff we've been sitting on for 6 weeks. We work it every day in practice. We just hadn't needed it, so we kind of just held it and said at some point when we need it, we'll have to do it, but and we needed it tonight because we needed a spark. So glad that it worked, and we'll take it.
You were a little banged up on defense tonight too, right? I remember hearing early in the game somebody came off and you had to move one of the Knights down a level, and that kind of put your secondary in a little different situation. And then Michael Dennison was out, I know, as well. You guys going to be a little more healthy next week, or how's that?
Yeah. I think we got a chance to get Michael back. He's going through PT, so he's kind of day to day. And then you get an ankle stepped on and, that kind of stuff. And you kind of have to start moving people around. And, and that's the good thing about this team. It's really versatile. We got guys that kind of know multiple positions. Rob Garl does a great job with our defense. Corey White back there on the back end, Scott Rast, Kobe Peeler. Our defensive staff does a really, really good job. So, you're going to get in games where people score on you sometimes. And, early this year, we were in games where we weren't scoring and our defense was holding everybody down. So,
right.
At some point you're going to get in a game where you're going to have to outscore somebody. And, our defense got some really, really big stops and some really big moments in that third quarter. Got to stop, got a short punt, got an interception, gave us a short field. And then all of a sudden we're up, it seemed like the momentum was kind of all on our side. Now, credit to them, they kind of come back and make some plays. But, it was just a great football game. It's high school, playoff football at its best. So I get a lot of respect for Crestwood and the job they did tonight.
Yeah, you guys got any questions for him? You guys were watching on Buchert's Zone. Jump in there.
Yeah, Coach. No, congrats on a great win. We're talking before. It looked like Crestwood really did a good job containing Fields as best as they could. Obviously, had that kickoff return for a touchdown the first half, which ended up being your only offensive score. How is that affecting you guys, your offensive game plan, seeing that Fields is not having his usual nights making big runs, but still being effective enough, and then the second half just kind of the offense said, all right, well, they're containing him. Let's just get points. So how did that play into you guys' game plan for the second half?
Yeah, it's we've had to kind of temper our own expectations with Casey because he goes for 200 all the time, and and we had to tell him one day, like, hey man, that's not normal. Like, people don't rush for 200 yards in every game like you do, and we just couldn't get anything going early, and it's frustrating for coaches, it's frustrating for players, and we just, you just keep kind of needling at it, trying to find something that's going to work. And, we knew we had the two back stuff kind of in our hip pocket. We just didn't want to show it in the first half because then they have halftime to adjust. So, I felt like going in only down 12, we kind of had a shot. But Casey, the thing with Casey is he just wears on you. He runs so physical that he picks up yards. He starts out and he gets 4 or 5, and he gets 4 or 5, he gets 4 or 5. And then you look in the third quarter and it's 10, 12, 15, 20, and he's
55.
I tell you, yeah, exactly. I tell him he's a lot like a boxer, right? It's just body blows. Yeah. He lands a lot of body blows early. And by the second half, a lot of guys just don't want to tackle him anymore because he's just a load. So, we don't want to only score 3 points in a half of football, but our guys don't panic and our coaches don't panic. We know that we've got some things that we can do that can cause people problems. So he's really good. He ended up with 160 tonight, which is weird because that sounds like a bad game for him. And that would be like a great game for most people. So
bad night.
Down night.
I think unofficially you had 2 trucks tonight. I saw him truck 2 dudes in the second half. I think in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, tonight. Casey. There's times where he could probably get more yards, like not running into people. But he loves the contact. So I'm not saying a word to him. He can do what he's doing right now. And I had a good coach told me one time, don't coach him down. So that's what we're trying not to do with him is just not make him worse. He's a really special player. He's a great kid. And, all these kids are. This has been the most low maintenance football team we've had. Just really easy to deal with. They're just awesome kids. And I'm just happy we get to spend another week with them.
Amen to that. And looking ahead to next week, I haven't seen the score yet or whether they played tonight, but have you seen, is it going to be Gilbert?
They play tomorrow.
Anybody know?
So we'll
they
see.
play tomorrow? Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll wait and see. And you going to make a road trip, do some scouting or?
I don't know. We'll play it by ear.
Might send somebody else.
They'll send film after the game, so I'll have to decide whether that's something I actually want to bite off or not.
That sounds like
you like to enjoy your weekends.
Yeah, I mean,
you always seem to be doing something fun on the weekends.
We'll see. You know, if you see, listen, if you're gonna get film, you're gonna see the same thing. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what see if any of our coaches want to go, and we'll figure it out.
Right on, man. Well, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to getting back in the nest next week. They were a little quiet in the first half, but they got hype in the second half, and I'm sure the DJ will get them pumped up again next week.
Yeah, that Jason, Darby, and Jeff, they're that's a live crew up there in the press box. So,
I love it.
Yeah, they
best in the
bring
business.
It is.
They bring the like late 90s, early 2000s heat, which is my wheelhouse. So I'm
right. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's funny. We go on the road, and a lot of times I'm just like, man, this place is boring. I've
never heard Juvenile song used for negative yardage in my life. That song, never.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, just let them do their thing. That's my thing. Just.
But you might tell them not to play the Undertaker's theme when one of your players is coming off with an injury, though. That gave kind of a janky vibe.
No cursing, and those guys do a great job, and volunteers just doing it because they want to help out kids, which is really cool.
Awesome stuff. Well, thanks, Bryce Laverne. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week in the nest, man.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
We got to get you out of that big box, Dylan. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to interview Dylan. What did you think about the Beaver game, Dylan, since you're in the spotlight now? What were your thoughts on the Beaver tonight?
Laverne, man. I love that guy. I promise he was not that happy for most of that game, and even right up to the end, he was not a happy camper for most of the night, especially with a couple of calls. Man, he gets after some refs.
There was one call where I think he thought the quarterback for Crestwood went over the line of scrimmage, and on the touchdown, on the fade.
Yes.
On the replay, he didn't, because Buford Tone played the replay. And you just see them just tearing the referee up. And I'm like, I can only imagine what's being said right now.
Oh, yeah. And I'm not even sure Bryce was actually convinced himself that he was right, but he was going hard sell on it all the way. And he had already been, upset earlier on a roughing the passer call, and then a missed crackback that really had him steamed. So it didn't take much to get to him at that point. But no, a heck of an effort by that team. And, he keeps talking about this was the first time I heard him say the lowest maintenance team I've ever had, but he keeps talking about what a great group this is, and I like that the way he phrased that. Misa, does that relate to you as a coach? The lowest maintenance team we've ever had. Like, you just don't have to babysit them; they just take care of their business.
Yeah, that was my team last year. Actually, the last 2 years where I've had to do. I don't want to say little work as a coach in development and kind of making sure they're behaving, but that's something I have to worry about. And as a coach, that helps so much because you can focus and spend energy on other things. So, and that speaks to the culture that he's built, when he took over a few years ago, and the success that they've had, you see it. They were in the state championship last year in 4A, region championship this year in 3A. They're making the deep run once again. And it speaks to the leadership on the field of the players, that the coaches don't have to worry about the little things that, can derail a season. And there's a lot of things that can happen. Like even tonight, you're down 28-10 in the third quarter in a playoff game at home, and you're the favorite, and a lot of teams might have folded under that pressure. And they came and said, nah, let's wake up now. Let's get going. So it's huge, and that'll carry over next week as well as they go into an even tougher matchup, whether it's Manning or Gilbert. It's going to be a very tough matchup. And I think how they respond tonight, like you said, Justin, to getting punched was huge. Seeing that response and seeing them just continue. And even when Crestwood kept trying to claw back, going for it on fourth down at the very end, where if they don't get that fourth down, Crestwood has plenty of time. And previously they scored a touchdown, 80 yards on 3 plays. So I was watching. I'm like, do you go for the field goal here? Because you got a kicker that can make it from that far, or do you just risk it and go for it and hope to get the first down? And that just goes to to the culture of that team and what they're doing at Buford. Hey, we're going to go for it. We're going to live or die by this, and if we get it, great. Game's over. If not, defense go out there and get a stop, hopefully. So I think it's awesome.
Now, I will say, if it had been a 4-point game instead of a 3-point game, I think they would have kicked the field goal.
Absolutely.
But going up six didn't really help. I mean, they had blocked 2 extra points, so. But really, like I was thinking about that. I was like, I mean, does a field goal really help you though? Like you only have 6. If they score, they're gonna score a touchdown. They're probably gonna make the extra point. So I think that was the right call there, especially when you got Casey Fields. He's gonna get it. But then your boy, the DJ, kind of jumped the gun on closing time. He played it after that 4th down play when there were still 2 minutes left and they still needed another first down to seal it. And I was like, oh, you are tempting the fates, my friend. You cannot play closing time for victory formation.
All I'm going to say is when you're playing juvenile for loss of yardage and you're playing back that thing up for loss of yardage every time, and hey, look, if you want to play closing time with 2 minutes and it's a 3-point game and Crestwood has a quarterback that can throw it anywhere, and number 80 for Crestwood was just out all over the place catching balls every
oh my gosh
near him. Look, that's the culture, that's low maintenance. I think if I'm on the sideline as a coach, I probably would have looked back at the press box and said, what in the bleep are we doing here? Why are you playing that? But I'm not an Eagle. I'm not there. Hey, it worked. They got the win. In hindsight, they got the win. That's what matters.
Yeah, that's right. It was a bit bold. Dylan has gone into witness protection a couple of times.
Yeah,
his computer screen goes off. You got to talk in that computerized voice, so we can't identify you when that happens. Well, let me hit you with some highlights, guys, because we do have some highlights to present. Wes got us a couple shots from the college and prep game here. We don't have all the highlights from this one, but we got a few. And we got a whole bunch from the Buford game. Let's see what we got here. Oh.
BA touchdown.
Jackson Porter. I got to get up close to the screen so I can see it. Welcome to live sort of television. Deep pass. Oh, ran under it. Man, that was a nice job keeping his feet. Is that Walker Bryan, I guess?
I think so.
Well, somehow we got more BA highlights than Colleton Prep highlights, but deep ball. But Colleton Prep, that's Jackson Porter again. So nice game for Jackson Porter, but Colleton Prep comes back and wins it 23-20. I know Wes has more highlights, but I think they just have not come through yet. He was submitting those over to me. So let me pull up our Buford High highlights for you here. Pretty legit highlight package. It'll be even better on Lowco Lights Monday on WHHI. So be sure to check that out. My sound didn't work right. See, this is just great. I mean, that's
nice
a pretty
shot.
Intense.
That's
it's pretty intense.
Kudos to the cameraman on that one.
Second half highlights. We're picking it up in the second half. WSAV will have the first half highlights for us. We'll have those in Lowco Lights with Casey Fields powering in. And then Caleb Ulmer, it's him one. Fields had, I thought, got in on the previous play, but they said he was down.
That was a touchdown.
And that was, he was in, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was on top of the guy. So the comeback is on, and then Zach Talbert, great pressure there. Talbert goes up and gets it. Big time play. I mean, that's a D1 baseball player out there playing football. Love it. Love it. Got to see more of that.
Yeah, I think that was one of the few mistakes the quarterback made.
Yeah, but it wasn't even that big of a mistake. Talbert made an incredible play to get it. And then one play later, Samari houses it. And then the other pick, which we'll see in a little bit, Ferry's made an incredible play on it. That Crespin quarterback is legit, bro. He makes really good decisions. He knew when to pull it and run. He saw the field incredibly well. A bunch of guys are missing on him. I love Bryce's comments about college coaches, by the way.
Yeah.
Let's clip that and post it on social media to get the clicks. Hear more.
Unreal. Unreal. And then the defense made the adjustment. I mean, they really did. They stepped up in the second half. They got punched, and they came back and did a really terrific job in the second half. Rob Goral, he doesn't get enough credit, man. We talk a lot about Lyburn, but he's got a heck of a coaching staff.
Yeah, he does. And you know, you look at the final score and you see, man, they allowed 40+ points, but it was a tale of two halves. In the second half, the defense really stepped up and made the stops they needed to at the right times.
This was a huge play. I mean, look how long they covered downfield, man. And Chase
that was a fourth down, right?
Finally got it. That was fourth down. Yeah, that was a huge play. Huge play. They covered for so long. Like the secondary, they gave up some big balls, but man, they made some plays too. I'm surprised this Crestwood team didn't get more notoriety. They're solid. That was the Fairies just took over and beasted. You know, their offensive line wasn't huge, but they did a good job, and they didn't have to block for long because Martin got it out real quick. He made his reads and got it out real quick.
And the first half, they were just blocking really well. Buford could not penetrate the quarterback.
Yeah.
And so they were creating holes for the running back in the running game. But then when you have a quarterback that can throw it like this guy can, you know, it's hard. What are you supposed to do? You know, so
this is a D1. This is a D1 football player right here. Boom.
High point.
That was nice. That was nice.
Almost the same play he made last week.
He's a beast. He's just incredible to watch. I mean, we were talking about it before we went live, but the last play of the half, he was just like, hey, give it to me. And he was sure he was going to score. He was 100% certain he was going to score, and he almost did. And then Fields almost took the opening kickoff or the other kickoff back. They kicked, or that punt. Was that a punt that they kicked? No, it was a kickoff after they tried to pooch it like 4 times in a row and kept kicking it out of bounds. They finally kicked it deep, and Fields, I never seen a dude running as fast as that dude was running when he hit midfield and they tackled him. Like, he was flying. It was unreal.
I mean, his speed.
And he was he was also flying on that last touchdown run where he just ran away from him. Like, my man was chest up and shrunk, and it was unreal. So, heck of a comeback by Buford. Heck of a battle by Carleton Prep too. I mean, to come back and beat a team a couple weeks later. I mean, it's tough to beat the same team twice, but it's also tough to get back up after a tough loss and come back and beat, you know, that team 2 weeks later. So what a terrific story for them, and their story goes on next week, and the story of round 2 goes on tomorrow night, guys. A little bit of a briefer show tonight with just 2 games run down. I think we did our duty to society, and we'll be back tomorrow night. We got Wade Hampton at Oceanside Collegiate. We got Thomas Hayward hosting Calhoun Academy, and we got Estill hosting Carver's Bay. When one of us will be at Estill, maybe both of us, Misa, and then we got Trace Lowther. He'll be over at Thomas Hayward, so I'm sure he'll jump on with us and tell us about that game. So we'll get you covered tomorrow night.
You know what's going to happen tomorrow at the Estill game, right? Because last week we said the offensive showdown was not going to be BA and Carleton Prep. Tomorrow we're going to go to the Estill Carver's
8-6
0-0 at halftime. Watch. You heard it here first, because you know that's just how football works.
I don't know. I've seen Xavier Garvin, and if Xavier Garvin's like hurt or something, then maybe that happens. But otherwise, you ain't holding Estill under 10. I promise you. Like, they got some definite weapons on that team. Jamaris Miller, Xavier Garvin, Jamil Bobine. They got some dudes. That team is, and Kayvon Chisholm is just, goodness sakes, he is a man. I'm looking forward to seeing them again tomorrow night. So I hope they get it back on track and take care of business so we can keep them rolling. I think they got a shot to go all the way. So, and I think Buford does too. I think they needed a wake up call a little bit. You know, you cruise through that first round playoff game. They have been just rolling, and you know, I think there was probably a little looking ahead. Think about the gauntlet that's ahead with Gilbert and then either Dillon or Camden, and they got snake bitten a little bit in the first half. But you know, I said on Twitter, this is where champions, you know, make the adjustment and respond and get the job done. And I thought it was a championship caliber response from them that showed me that, you know, and I also heard one of them say just like Myrtle Beach last year, just like Myrtle Beach. So they're still riding away from that one, definitely too. But they're the kind of team that, man, they can catch lightning and strike real fast. And I don't think Crestwood knew what hit them. It was 28-10, and in a flash, it was 38-28.
Yeah,
yeah, and you saw it in the Crestwood players, like 28-10, they're cruising, they're excited, they're hype, and then they got punched back. It was like, oh, and then they just couldn't stop them. It was like, oh, crap. Yeah. We were up 18 2 minutes ago, and now we're down 3, and now we're down 10. So it was a credit to Buford. I mean, they responded well. I think, like you said, Justin, this will help them a lot next week because it's going to be tougher, whether it's Gilbert or Manning, and they can get past that. It'll be a home game, so that'll help a lot. But it doesn't get any easier from here on out. And if they want to go back to the state championship game in Columbia, it's going to be very tough. And whoever comes out from the upper state is going to be just as tough as it was last year. So this tonight was a big wake-up call for them. If they did fall asleep and kind of look ahead a little bit, but also they kind of showed the rest of the state, hey, you can't sleep on these guys. Even if they're down, they're gonna keep fighting until the very end.
Yeah, and half of it was, they weren't even lined up, when Crestwood was snapping the ball, and they weren't even lined up. So when you had Buford lined up, Crestwood couldn't move the ball. So, I mean, Crestwood was just kind of catch them off guard, and then they got gas. But awesome win for those guys. Really excited.
Yeah, it was. I mean, credit to Crestwood. It was a great game plan. They came out and showed them something that just totally threw them for a loop. And by the time they came to, they were down 2 touchdowns and still a 12-point game at halftime. So, and those guys didn't quit either, man. I mean, they had a chance to fold their tent after Buford reeled off 28, and they did not. It was still a game right to the end. So, major credit to those guys. I haven't looked down their roster to see how many of those guys are back, but if some of those dudes are back, circle Crestwood for next year. Look out for them because they got.
I don't know that quarterback. What is that quarterback? Is he coming back next year?
I think he's a junior. Yeah.
Jesus.
He is
no college looking at him.
Well, I don't know how that's true. I mean, I believe it's true. Like I'm not discounting the fact, but yeah, he's a junior. He's something else. The tight end Anthony Steele does graduate. I don't know if people are on Anthony Steele, but they better get on him too.
Yeah, 6'4", 220 tight end, and he can run. Let me make a few phone calls.
Yeah, he can really run. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even. I see him as more of like a slot guy, like not even a tight end necessarily, but like a Hunter Renfro type slot guy.
Yes, because he has good hands too. He has good hands.
Yeah. Great hands.
Great speed.
Really good hands. Impressive team. Great job. Great job by that coaching staff at Crestwood. It's an impressive team. And, they were, 8-4 or something? They had a good year, man. They're going to be back. Yeah, they're going to be back. That's a quality squad. So, all right, guys. Well, that does it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow to round up some results from Hampton and Jasper counties. I don't know how it's split up by Beaufort and the Western Reaches, but we'll be out in the Western Reaches tomorrow night, and we'll be back here on Lowco Pigskin Live to break it all down for you. That does it for this episode. For Misa Garza, Dylan Price, and the departed Wes Kerr, we thank Bryce Ladland for jumping in with us. We thank our sponsors who we did not shout out tonight, but we will get to in the closing here. And we thank you for showing up to listen and watch. Until next time, go Lowco.
This podcast is made possible by our sustaining sponsors. Our original sponsor, Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of LowcoSports.com. Go see Ryan and Tiffany and the Mickle Squad for all your legal needs and support the local businesses that support Lowco. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling the best pies in Bluffton and on Hilton Head, but don't sleep on the mac and cheese. Star Home Services, official residential cleaning service of Lowco Sports. Sometimes you just don't want to clean. Call on Carla and her amazing team to do the dirty work at a great price and tell them Lowco sent you. 843 Sport, the official training center of Lowco Sports. No matter your game, 843 Sport is the place to take it to the next level. They're bringing all the area's top trainers and some of the best elite travel teams from various sports under one roof at 843 Sport. DDS Web Design, the official SEO experts of Lowco Sports. If you have a business and you want to get found, look no further than DDS. They can build an attractive and effective website loaded with all the cutting-edge SEO tools you need to show up where people are looking on Google. Dave and Denise will get it done. Additional support provided by Cannon Specialty Services, Bluffton Pest Control, Next Move, The Fit Club in Belfair Town Village, and our Patreon members. Join today for $1 or more per month at patreon.com/LocoSports to get early or exclusive access to our local sports content and exclusive Loco swag. And thank you to our past recurring sponsors, including Horizon Rehabilitation and Physical Therapy, Coastal Plains Insurance of the Lowcountry, 4M Metals, Hilton Head Insurance and Brokerage, Brody's Bar and Grill, and AGC Gutter Company. Thank you for supporting our mission to create quality local sports content that celebrates our teams and athletes. Go Loco!